It's one that should be fairly short. The biggest thing you need to remember is you need to get that formula down. To find the percent of change, we're taking the change in an amount divided by the original amount, and then we're taking that number times 100. And that times 100 actually converts it to a percent. So let's go ahead and look at an example. Okay, it says determine whether each percent of change is a percent of increase or a percent of decrease. Then find the percent of change. Okay, so we're going to first of all look at that and we're going to determine, is this an increase or a decrease? So the original amount is 20, the final amount is 23. What is that? It's an increase, right? Because it goes up. So that's all you're doing. You're just seeing if it goes up, it's an increase. If it goes down, it is a decrease. Okay? And so then now, here's the formula that we're going to use. Change in an amount divided by your original amount times 100. Okay? So what is the change in the amount between these two folks? What is it? 3. Divided by the original amount, which is 20, and I'm going to take that times 100. Okay? So now this one actually works out really slick, because if you write 100 as a fraction, 100 over 1, what do you notice? Yeah, you can cancel between the 20 and the 100, right? What goes into both 20 and 100? Bigger. Bigger. 20. 20 goes into 20 how many times? How many times does 20 go into 100? 5. And this is the way that you could do this. You could just say 2 goes into 10 how many times? And it's actually 5. Okay, so 20 goes into 100. So if you notice, I have 3 times 5 on the top, which is 15. The bottom is just going to be what, folks? 1. So do I even need to write it? No, so the percent of change is 15%. Now make sure you attach that percent sign at the very end. So we have an increase of 15%.
So how do you get 20?
Because that was the original amount right here. Okay. We take whatever the change in the amount is, so it changed 3, and then notice my original amount here says 20. Okay? All right, I want you to try, oops, I guess we're going to do one again first. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. So I start at 25, and my final is 17. So what can you conclude this is? A decrease. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and use the formula. Change in the amount divided by the original amount times 100. So what is the change in the amount going to be? 8. Now some people would probably say a negative 8. We're not going to make that a negative 8. We're just going to leave it as 8. Okay? Leave it positive. Divided by my original amount, which is what?
25.
And so then I'm going to take that times 100. Now once again, this one works out nice and neat too, because if I put 100 as a fraction, 100 over 1, I notice that I can cancel between the 25 and the 100. 1 and 4. So I'm left with what percent? 32. Now make sure you put that percent sign again. Okay? So percent of decrease, 32%. Okay, I want you to try this one for me. Okay, the original is 60, the new is 45. You don't need to put the sign, just put the number.
Always put the percent sign.
25%, good. So let's see how we got that. Okay, so notice here I have 15 over 60 times 100 over 1. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 60 into 100. Now that doesn't go in evenly, but I know that 20 goes into each of those. So 20 goes into 60 3 times, 20 goes into 100 5. And then now, if I notice, I can do 3 into 15 5 times. So notice how that worked. And so then on the top, I'm left with 5 times 5, which is 25. On the bottom, I'm left with 1. So your answer is just 25%. Otherwise, you could have taken your 15 times 5 and gotten 75 divided by 3. If you didn't see that 3 goes into 15, and you would have gotten 25 as well then. Okay? Because 3 goes into 15, the orange. So 3. So that was a way that you could have done that. Let's look at this one. The original is 48. The new is 32. Okay. The original is 48. The new is 32. Now, if you get a decimal here, I just want you to round to the nearest whole percent. Okay? So just go ahead and round to the nearest whole percent. So I don't want any decimals on this one. So once again, just round to the nearest whole percent. Answer's 33. Okay, so once again, let's go ahead and look at this. 16 over 48 times 100 over 1, so I could put this over 1. And then if I look at this, if you wanted to, you could say 48 goes into 100. You could say it's divisible by 2. So you have 24 and 50. And then you could say, whoa, wait a minute here. I know that 2 goes into 24. So that would be 12 times. And then that would be 25. Okay, and then now you could say, okay, wait a minute here. Let's try and reduce something down a little bit more. So 12 and 16 are both divisible by 4. So it would be 3 and 4. So on the top, I have 4 times 25. What's 4 times 25? Should be 100. And I divide that by 3. So there's 2 ways of doing this. I actually could do 100 divided by 3. That's one way. Or I could write this as a mixed number. And as a mixed number, this is going to be 33 and 1/3. So if I were to round that, it's going to be 33%. Okay. Alrighty, now let's go ahead and look at this. We're actually going to have some word problems. It says, a recent percent of increase in tuition at a university was 5.4%. If the new cost is $33,408 per year, find the original cost per year. Okay. So I need to go ahead and solve that. So if you remember my formula, it was the change divided by the original equals, or times 100 equals percent. Okay? So what do you think we should do?
Divide 33,408 by
Well, let's think. Let's just say I had my original amount. My original amount, let's just write that C, right? That's my original amount. That's where I start, correct? Then what I do is I add a percent of increase. And that percent of increase is 5.4% of the cost. And that will equal my new amount, which is $33,408. So let's translate that a little bit. First of all, I have my cost here, which is like C, or 1C, right? 5.4, how can I write that? .054, yep. What does of mean? What does of mean when I'm writing equations? Times. Cost is C, and that's going to equal 33,408. So now in looking at that, on the left side, notice here, I have 1C plus 0.054C. So what is that going to be? 1.054C equals 33,408. Oops, that's supposed to be 33,408. For some reason, the pen skipped a little bit. And so now to solve that, okay, to solve that, what are you going to do? Divide both sides by what? Oops, let's try that one again. What are you going to divide both sides by? 1.054. Okay, now, does anybody have their calculator handy or a calculator handy? Now, on these, I will let you use a calculator to find that out because these can get kind of in-depth. So 33,408 divided by 1.054. And what do we get there? So if I was going to round that, it would be 39 cents. So the original cost, $31,696.39. All right, let's look at another word problem, because sometimes those word problems can be a little tricky. Okay, a new DVD costs $24.99. If the sales tax is 6.85%, what is the total cost? So I want you to think about that. You've got your DVD, right? So basically, your DVD plus tax is going to equal cost. How do you figure out tax? Right. So you've got your DVD cost, which we already know, and then you just said you take, for the tax, 6.85% of the $24.99. Okay? So I need you to go ahead and calculate that and go ahead and round that. And if you need, I've got some over there on the counter if you don't have one of your own, but there are some, because you're probably going to need those on these. Okay, and we've got 2 more problems to look at. Okay, so once you get your answer, go ahead and put your answer in on the expressions. Oh, I don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. There you go. Now you should be able to enter it in. Go ahead and put your answer in on the expressions. And let's see what you had. Okay, $26.70. So now the biggest thing here that I can see probably happened is that when we did the 6.85%, we didn't change that to a decimal. 0.0685 5, okay, times $24.99. So that's what you should have done. And when you calculate that, you get like 1.711, like 28. So that would be 1.71. And then if you add that to your original $24.99, that's where you get the 26.7. So biggest step, you need to make sure that you convert the percent to a decimal. Okay? All right, a picture frame was originally priced at $14.89. It's on sale for 40% off. What is the discounted price? Now this happens all the time. You go shopping, you see things on sale. My mom always takes me with because she's always like, figure out how much this is going to cost. Okay, and so now we need to calculate that. All right, and so we have $14.89. And that's how much it is. Okay, and I'm going to subtract from that 40% of $14.89. Now, there's another way to do this. And so if some of you are thinking there's another way, there is. Okay, and we're going to go over that too. So I've got my $14.89. And what is 40% of $14.89? So go ahead and calculate that for me. What is 40% of $14.89? $5.96. Now for those of you using your calculator, remember 0.4 is 40%. So you need to take 0.4 times $14.89. So then now my total amount is $14.89 minus $5.96. So how much does the picture frame now cost? $8.93. That's one way. And that's the, oops, let's try and draw this better circle on that. That's the way that a lot of, that's the way that a lot of people like to calculate that problem. Now for me, when I'm shopping, I don't like to think of subtraction in my head. So what I do is I say, okay, it's 40% off, right? So let's think about things. If it's 40% off, that really means it's 60% of the total price. Right? Because if you take away 40%, that means it's 60% left. So what I usually do in my head is I just take 60% of $14.89. And actually, I usually round. So I'll round to like $15. And I can kind of do that. And so I want you real quick to calculate this. What is 60% of $14.89? Okay, remember that would be 0.6 times $14.89. What does that come out to be? What? $8.93. So see, what ends up happening is if you use the other percent, you actually don't have to subtract. Okay, that's one of the nice things. So anyway, that's just like a little technique that works. If you don't like it, fine. You can use the first way we looked at. Okay, but your assignment on page 122 is 14 through 42, the evens. Okay, if you have questions, please come in. You might have questions on like 36 and 38. So, like I said, if you have questions, please come in and we'll go over those.